Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
Tonight, the Tigers begin their final series of the first half. They will do so on a warm night here in Minneapolis. Two teams well bunched up right now in the Central Division. As we look at the standings, the Kansas City Royals have already won today. So the Tigers and the Twins battling it out right now. Tigers 7.5 games back. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us here for Game 1 in this series. The Tigers move the road show to Minneapolis, Rod. They take 2 out of 3 against the Seattle Mariners. This is a Twins team, though, that is much different than the one we saw in April.
You know, it's a Twins team that has taken on the personality of their manager, the Hall of Famer, Paul Molitor. He was very gritty. This Twins team is very gritty as well. But they have not proven that they could beat the Tigers in this ballpark, and they really have not had a whole lot of success against the Tigers this season.
All right, how about David Price? The Tigers once again leaning on him. But when you look at the numbers, career, David's had some really good success against Minnesota.
You know, one of the things that David is able to do against a predominantly right-handed lineup, which he will see here tonight against the Minnesota Twins, he's able to spot that fastball on the outside black at about 95 miles an hour. Most of these right-handers are dead pull hitters. He never gives in to them. We add in the curveball. We've talked about the changeup, and then you look at those numbers that he has posted against the Twinkies in his career. 7-3 with a 2.42 ERA. They will lean heavily on their ace here tonight, who has started 17 games, and the team has won 14 of those 17.
All right, this series will also feature 2 guys that are trying to get into the All-Star game. Yoenis Cespedes for the Tigers, Brian Dozier for the Minnesota Twins. Here's what it looks like right now in the final vote. Mike Moustakas has the lead right now. Of course, Dozier and Cespedes battling it out along with Xander Bogaerts. And when you look at what Brian Dozier has done, certainly is a worthy candidate, Rod. He's had a terrific season.
No question about that. One of the things about Brian Dozier, we talked about the manager, Paul Molitor. He has taken on his personnel, and he plays like it. Last year, he scored a season-high 112 runs. That was the most in the American League. He gets it done on both sides of the ball. He's got lightning-quick hands. He can climb the ladder and get to a really good fastball in the mid-90s. He can also steal you a base, and he's very good defensively. He's the straw that stirs their drink at the top of the order, and everything that he does and everything the Minnesota Twins do from a positive standpoint, Brian Dozier is right in the middle of it. That's the one guy, David Price, must slow down here tonight.
All right, this should be a fun series, the first of 4 between these two teams. After a short break, we send you back to the Paul Sam Studios. Check in with Johnny Kane. Coming up tonight, the middle of the Tigers lineup really mashes here in Minnesota. Tigers-Twins, Game 1, next. Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. Ram Trucks, find your summer of fun with great deals at the Ram Summer Clearance Event. And by Johnsonville Smoked Brats. Johnsonville sausage is all we do. Back here at Target Field as we get you set for a big 4-game series heading up to the All-Star break. Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. Tigers starting lineup tonight is presented by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And it features a couple of All-Stars, potentially a third. Ian Kinsler leads it off. Then Cespedes and Martinez. Cespedes, good numbers career against the Twins. You've got J.D. batting cleanup, then Avila and Castellanos. Krause at first base tonight. Ghosts and Iglesias rounded out for the Detroit Tigers. And they are facing the right-handed offerings tonight of Mike Pelfrey.
And Pelfrey got off to a decent start this year for the Minnesota Twins, but he stubbed his toe in June. He went 1-4, and he's already lost in the month of July, so he really is not pitching really good baseball right now. He's got a fastball that gets up to 96, also a splitter and a curveball, and throws tons of ground balls. Tigers need to force him into getting the ball up in the strike zone. Let's take a look at the Minnesota Twins starting defensive alignment, and this brought to you by Tim Hortons. It's a defense that's been catching that ball very efficiently since June 12th. Fewest errors in Major League Baseball. Hunter, Hicks, Robinson in the outfield. Blue, Nunez, Dozier, Maurer in the infield. And Suzuki, the veteran catcher, putting down the signs tonight for Mike Pelfrey.
Okay, the Tigers trying to catch the Minnesota Twins in the standings right now, coming into play in third place. They've got Ian Kinsler leading it off. He'll be followed by Cespedes and then Victor Martinez. Pelfrey set to go to work. And our first pitch of tonight's ball game. A little bit outside, 1 ball to no strikes on Kinsler. He had a little bit of a mental break yesterday. Took the final game off against the Seattle Mariners. Came on as a defensive replacement. Drills this one in the air deep toward left center field. On the move is Robinson, still going back. And how do you like that? The Tigers have taken a 1-0 lead on the leadoff home run by Kinsler.
The Tigers have played quite a few games in this ballpark this year, and boy, have they been able to flex their muscles. But Kinsler's not usually one of the guys that's hitting the ball into the seats.
So apparently the day off worked.
And Pelfrey tries to overpower him with a fastball that sits right over the heart of the dish, right at the belt buckle, and Ian Kinsler put a really good swing on it.
Only his third home run of the year, but it gets the Tigers off and running here tonight. Here is Yoenis Cespedes. He'll look at a strike 0-1. Cespedes in a battle right now with Brian Dozier and Mike Moustakas in the final vote. Yoenis at 291 with 12 home runs. Ball was flying out of Safeco Field like we had never seen ever, and Cespedes took advantage of it.
A lot of those home runs at Safeco were going straight central as well, and we've been there several times, and we've never seen that many balls go straight to center field.
Well, it's warm here as well this evening. 80 degrees our game time temp. The 0-2 slides outside, and Cespedes laid off. 46 RBIs for Cespedes. And a modest 6-game hitting streak going. Pelfrey's 1-2. Again, same pitch, and again, Cespedes laid off. Pelfrey has not stuck around very long in his last 2 starts. His last start, he lasted 4 innings, and the start before that, just 2 innings. Two is grounded foul.
Old-fashioned windup for Mike Pelfrey. You don't see many guys these days taking the ball from the waist and the glove and simultaneously over the head. Most guys just stay right around that belt buckle when they're in the windup. He goes all the way over the top.
And again, Cespedes able to spoil a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that was headed for the outside part of the plate.
Pelfrey probably at his best when he's right around 92, 93. That way he's getting some pretty good movement. He already throws quite a few ground balls. When he goes 95, 96, his fastball tends to straighten out, just like the one that Ian Kinsler was able to hit out of the ballpark.
Look out, there goes the bat. Ball fouled straight back. souvenir for that gentleman. Cespedes also apparently having trouble getting the dirt out of his cleats.
Either that or he swung out of the shoe.
Well, Cespedes will doctor up a new bat. There goes the old one. Two and two on Yoenis. Leadoff home run for Kinsler. 1-0 Detroit. Checked it. There you go. Did not.
This has turned into an outstanding at-bat for Yoenis Cespedes, who has great numbers in his career against the Minnesota Twins.
He is about to see the 9th pitch in this at-bat. Grounded back up the middle. Knocked down there by Dozier. Has time and throws him out. So the shift worked that time for the Twins. That's a 4-3 ground out, one gone.
And Dozier right behind second base. He is a shortstop by trade, so really fielding ground balls on that side of the bag, no issue for him. But that was hit like a bullet. It didn't field it cleanly, but he didn't panic, able to pick it up and still get it across the diamond.
Well, even though that resulted in an out, Cespedes with his lengthy battle, a positive for the Tigers. Here is Victor Martinez. Victor at 274 now. 27 driven in for the Tigers designated hitter. Had a really nice series against Seattle, was 8 for 13 against the Mariners staff.
Can't give Victor all the credit, but it's really no coincidence that this offense has perked up since he came off the DL.
Yeah, agreed. Martinez has given the Tigers another steady bat in the middle of the lineup. He's had a lot of multiple hit games since coming back.
8 of those.
It's the 1-1. Martinez, since coming off the disabled list, is at 354. So his impact certainly has been felt.
He's also scored quite a few runs, which means that that left knee, which was giving him a lot of problems earlier in the year, not really that much of an issue as we speak.
Martinez on several occasions in Seattle had to leg out a double and ran pretty well. And again, right to the shift and line drive. Caught for out number 2. That is Trevor Plouffe who caught that ball. So that's a line out to the third baseman.
So far, so good for the defensive alignments that they've employed on the last 2 hitters. Yoenis Cespedes and also Victor Martinez both able to square that baseball up off of Pelfrey. He's not fooling anybody today.
Here is J.D. Martinez. Nobody's been fooling J.D. recently. 291 average now as he waves and misses. 9-game hitting streak for the Tigers right fielder. Tigers got a bit of a scare yesterday when Martinez was hit in the hand. Swing and a miss. Actually, he got it on the fingers, and it just looked like it was taking a long while for the pain to go away for J.D. But he's back in there tonight. Laid off the 0-2 in the dirt away, 1-2. Pelfrey is 31 years old, born in Ohio. He's a big ground ball pitcher, has induced a lot of double plays this year.
He's a big boy, too. And former #1 draft choice, stands about 6 feet 7 inches.
Got him on the outside corner. 94-mile-an-hour fastball painted. And that's all for the Tigers. However, they take an early lead. Kinsler hits his 3rd of the year. 1-0 Detroit. Third home run of the year. Starting lineup for the Twins, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. It'll be Brian Dozier leading it off. Big numbers at second base this year. Mauer and Plouffe to follow. Sano, the fine-looking rookie, is the DH. Hunter and Nunez, then Hicks, Suzuki, and Shane Robinson rounding it out. David Price tonight, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
And David has won 8 starts this year. He's lost 2 games in the 17 starts, but the team has won 14 games of the 17. When David's been out there, he always gives them a legitimate chance to win a game because he always pitches into the 7th and many times into the 8th.
And we expect that he'll probably do that again here tonight. Brian Dozier starting things off for the Minnesota Twins. 18 home runs, 16 of those coming from the leadoff position.
Yeah, you must stay away from Dozier. He loves the ball inside, and most of his damage comes on fastballs inside. He also has some nice bat range, which means he can get up around those letters where it says Twins and get on top of a fastball.
Dozier has knocked in 45 this year. Those are middle of the order type numbers. And he looks at a strike in the inside part of the plate. Dozier on pace to score 123 runs this season. He led the American League last year. Price ready with the 2-1. He's gone to 3-1 now in Dozier. Mauer and then Plouffe here in the first inning for Minnesota. And he checked his swing. That'll be ball 4. Dozier is aboard. Leadoff man on.
Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense presented by Beaumont Health System. J.D. Martinez in right. Ghost is in center field. Yoenis Cespedes, he is in left. 1 error last 51 games for Ghost in center field. Boy, he along with Iglesias and Kinsler, and whether it be Avila or McCann, man, if they really solidified the middle of that defensive alignment.
We'll bring up Joe Mauer, which also brings us to our Bernstein advantage. The pitcher-batter matchup has gone to David Price. Here are the career numbers: 5 for 30 against David. Mauer showing bunt, and he drops one down to third. Castellanos has no shot. Throw back to second. He just got back in there. Dozier slipped around the bag. Well, Mauer beating the shift.
Just a wonderful idea here by Mauer, and he lays it down perfectly. And by the time Castellanos able to come in and get it, absolutely no play, but they nearly got Dozier. Iglesias took the throw back from Castellanos, but too late. And Dozier got that right hand on the bag.
So the Twins trying to respond immediately here. They have the first 2 men on.
Apparently the Tigers have some numbers down there this year on Mauer that indicates that he is a pull hitter. I've never ever seen anybody play Joe Mauer to the pull field.
They had him swung around, and it really opened up that lane to third base. There's a strike called on Trevor Plouffe. Mauer, one of those guys that really throughout his entire career has used the entire field.
For sure. That's how you win batting titles. But they were overshifting him.
Trevor Plouffe, 256, 10 home runs. Way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike on Plouffe.
His batting average is not very high, Trevor Plouffe, but he has done better with runners on base. Better than 300 this year for Plouffe when he's got some runners out there.
In there for a strike, 1 and 2.
He also hits into quite a few double plays. He's hit into 14 this year, which is tied for the most in the American League with the first baseman on the south side of Chicago, Jose Abreu.
Plouffe has been hot of late, 389 in his last 5 games. But Price certainly could use a ground ball here. And the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Plouffe is playing third base in this one. They have the youngster Miguel Sano, who's waiting on deck and is also a third baseman. And Sano is not showing any signs of being overwhelmed by the big leagues.
They have put him right in that cleanup spot.
How about that?
Yeah, a week ago he was in Double-A.
Now the 2-2 in the air toward left, right at Cespedes. It'll be the first out of the inning. Plouffe retired. And now here is Miguel Sano. So the Twins have called up Byron Buxton this year, one of the top prospects in the game, and so is this young man, Miguel Sano.
It's a nice luxury to have if you're Terry Ryan, the architect and the general manager of this Twins team that we're looking at on the field. When you are having a bad month and your team is not performing very well, you can call up one of those young kids to come up and to infuse some energy. That's what Byron Buxton did earlier before he went on the DL. And Sano has done the same thing.
2 very different players, but 2 of the best prospects in the game. Buxton right now currently on the DL, but Sano is smack dab in the middle of their lineup. Ball 1.
Before Sano had Tommy John surgery, he was rated as a higher prospect than Correa, the shortstop of the Astros, and also Chris Bryant, the third baseman of the Chicago Cubs. That's how highly thought of he was when he was in the minors.
Here's the 1-0. Sano had a rip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, here are the 2 guys, Buxton and Sano. One is a power guy. That would be Sano. Buxton can do so many things. Very exciting player. Buxton was drafted as a high school player. Sano was drafted as a 16-year-old. He wasn't drafted, was signed as a 16-year-old out of the Dominican Republic. 2 very young players. Here's the 1-1. And when you talk about 2 young guys in Sano and Buxton, Rod, you're talking about playing for a team right now that's in the playoff chase.
And Buxton, he was performing pretty well when he came up, and I don't think Sano is going to be in awe of playing in a pennant race here with Minnesota. It seems like they've got a really nice nucleus here, a really good team led by a nice manager in Paul Molitor.
The 2-1, swing and a miss. Sano out in front that time. The count goes 2-2.
David wasn't looking for a swing and miss here after the previous 2 pitches, mid-90s fastball. He threw the changeup up there, hoping for some contact, but he wanted the ground ball. He wanted to get the double play to get out of the inning, but Sano just swung right through it.
Sano has 10 hits in his last 22 at bats. Checked it up high, and that will fill the count now, 3-2.
David Price kind of fighting his command here in the very first inning, and it's uncommon for us to see that. In 16 pitches he's thrown, and he has missed the strike zone with 9 of those.
Leadoff walk to Dozier. Mauer a bunt single. 1 out later, Sano waits on a 3-2. Drilled down the right field line, but foul. Sano tardy on that fastball, up mid to 90s, mid to upper 90s. So the battle continues. He is a rather solidly built player. 6'4", 262, San Pedro de Macorís.
Usually the middle infielders are coming from San Pedro de Macorís.
You going to put Sano at short?
No. But a lot of shortstops, a lot of middle infielders from San Pedro.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Price wins that battle. First strikeout of the game for David.
And David came back with a 3-2 changeup, and he buried it at the bottom of the zone, and he was able to get Snell out in front on that front foot early, and he swung right over the top of it. Changeup's been a pretty good pitch all year for David. All career best. Swing and miss at 19, nearly 20%. They chase it nearly 50%, and he throws a lot of strikes with it.
Torrey Hunter sends a ground ball to short. Iglesias has it there, and that is that for Minnesota. They'll get the force to end the inning. Nice job by Price to pitch out of the jam. A 4-game series on the strength of a leadoff home run by Kinsler. The Tigers have a 1-0 lead. Alex Avila starts things off for Detroit. He'll be followed by Castellanos and then Mark Krause. Pelfrey goes back to the hill. There's the shift against Avila. And Alex looks at strike one right at the knees. Avila's hit safely in his last 4, back behind the dish in this one here today. Got the day off yesterday in the day game in Seattle. One ball, one strike. Avilas is coming off the disabled list. He's gotten right back in there. He's played a couple of games at first base in place of Miguel Cabrera. He caught that extra inning game against the Seattle Mariners. Here's the 1-1. A little bit outside. 2-1 on Avila. Pelfrey gave up the home run to Kinsler, but then he got 3 straight outs to end the first. Sliced the other way off the glove of Plouffe into left field. So the leadoff man is aboard here in the second. Let's check in with Mickey York, who has more on the condition of Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, Mario, we haven't heard much about Miguel since he went on the disabled list, but Brad Ausmus offered an update earlier today. Miggy has begun physical therapy. He recently received a platelet-rich injection in that calf to help speed along the healing process, but he is immobilized in a boot, which Cabrera showed off on Instagram the other day while watching the Tigers beat the Mariners. The timetable for his return has not changed, however. The Tigers still expect Cabrera to miss the next 6 to 8 weeks. In other injury news, Kyle Lobstein has been cleared to resume throwing. He's been on the DL since May 24th with a sore left shoulder. Guys?
All right, Mick, thanks. Well, we certainly hope Miggy has a speedy recovery. Of course, Alex Gordon went down last night for the Royals, and two really key figures in the Central.
Yeah, that's a big blow. And for the Kansas City Royals, it's going to be very difficult to replace Alex Gordon. He had nearly a 400 on base percentage, and he was an all-star playing very good baseball on both sides of the ball and has done so for the last 4 years.
Here's how they're playing Castellanos. Nick sends a ground ball to short. This looks like a double play, and it is.
And that is the 19th double play this year that Pelfrey has induced while he has been on the mound. I think Brad Ausmus knows that the next time he gets himself in a situation where there's a runner on first base, he might just put some runners in motion to prevent Pelfrey from doing so.
The leader in double plays induced is Kyle Gibson, Pelfrey's teammate, who has, well, he had 19, now they're tied. Here's Mark Krause. Krause over in his first at bat, taking over for Cabrera in Seattle. There's a strike call. They play him to pull.
If you're scoring at home, they gave Avila a base hit on that ball that was hit right past and Trevor Plouffe.
The 0-1. 0-2. Krause 1 for 4 in his Tigers debut. Grew up in northern Ohio, not far from Comerica Park. Lifting that one toward left field. Robinson is on the move. That'll end the inning. No runs, a hit, and nobody left. Here come the Twins in the bottom of the second.
Fact that he's at home in a boot, but he's also watching. And after the Kinsler home run today, Miggy sent out a tweet. Yes, Ian swing up, finish up. Apparently, Miggy has had some conversations with Mr. Ian Kinsler before he went on the disabled list.
Well, Ian with a home run, the only run of the game so far. Giving David Price a 1-0 lead. Nunez will start things off here in the bottom of the second. Nunez, then Hicks and Suzuki. Price had a little trouble in the first. He walked Dozier, gave up a bunt single to Mauer, but nothing came of any of that. Slapped fair inside the bag at first base. That'll bang up against the wall. He's going to hold up. JD had trouble with it, and he was lucky. Nunez was that he put on the brakes. Otherwise, he's upset with himself right now. Martinez lucky. Otherwise, he would have ended up at second base.
That's one of those plays, if you're Nunez, if you do go in, JD Martinez happens to field that ball cleanly and he doesn't kick it around, you're going to be out at second base. JD has a really good throwing arm, but the fact that he stopped and started, and then once he realized he didn't pick it up cleanly, he was too late to force the issue.
Tigers also got a break in that it hit that sidewall and kicked out to Martinez. Otherwise, it's a double. Here's Aaron Hicks. Hicks has hit safely in his last 4. With Buxton on the DL, Hicks is getting more of an opportunity now. He is batting .250, 3 home runs. And there was a time when Hicks was at the top of their prospect list, or near it at least. Ball outside.
Defense has never been an issue for Aaron Hicks. He's an outstanding center fielder with a lot of range and a very good throwing arm, but the bat really hadn't showed up until this season.
Good young players coming up. We talked about Sano and Buxton. You still have Hicks. Eddie Rosario has looked good this year for the Twins, an outfielder. Blocking Avila. He'll try and get the second to throw. Not in time. And Nunez very aggressively moves up.
We talked about this Minnesota Twins team at the top of the show and the fact that they play the same way that their leader, Paul Molitor, played. That's a breaking ball down that's right in front of Avila. It does not bounce that far away from him, but Eduardo Nunez on first base. Nice secondary lead, able to get down to second base this time.
Wild pitch is charged to Price. Tying run in scoring position now for Hicks with a count of 2-0.
If you're going to advance on a ball that trickles only a couple of feet away from the catcher, you have to be anticipating that it's going to bounce, and that's exactly what Eduardo was doing.
Ooh, he did not go. Adam Hammery, the first base umpire, said he held. Now it's 3-0.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, I would disagree with that. Clearly. 3 balls, no strikes on Hicks. On the outer edge, 3-1. David Price on the road this year is 5-1. Earned run average under 2. He's done some of his best work away from Comerica Park. And he lost him. Ball 4. So like the first inning, the Twins start the second with 2 base runners. Well, stay tuned to Tigers Live following the game. We'll select our Fox Sports Detroit Tigers Player of the Game, presented by McDonald's Big Mac and 10-piece McNuggets. So an early visit from Jeff Jones, and you mentioned this in the first inning, Rod, but uncharacteristically, the command not quite there yet.
And Jeff Jones has already picked up something because Dave was leaving a lot of his fastballs up in the strike zone. He's releasing the ball too deep. That front leg is not getting down, and therefore releasing the ball behind him. And several of his fastballs to the right-handed hitters have landed exactly where that last one did to Hicks. He just needs to slow down to gather himself to allow that arm to catch up so he can throw downhill. Right now, David is throwing uphill.
You see he's got the 5th best walks per 9 this season among American League starters, but 2 already tonight.
Yeah, he's already over his quota here in the second inning.
Here's the number 8 hitter, Kurt Suzuki. 2 on, nobody out. .227 this year for Suzuki. And he drops down a bunt. Price, with nobody to go through at third base, will turn and throw it first. Sacrifice for Suzuki.
Good play. Good call by Paul Molitor. Usually David Price does not give up a lot of runs. You have runners on first and second. Why not bunt, get the guys in the scoring position, and to increase your chances in scoring a run here.
We'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Shane Robinson.
And here's where Price is usually at his best. There are runners in scoring position when he needs a strikeout.
Robinson has seen David Price only twice in his career. 0 for 2 against him. Swing and a miss. Robinson, a former St. Louis Cardinal, 5 years with the Cards, was originally a 5th-round pick of St. Louis. Nunez led it off with a single. He's at third. Hicks is at second. Slapped out of play. 0-2 on Robinson. We'll see if Price can just finish him off.
He can go one of 2 ways. He can go right back upstairs with a mid-90s fastball to see if he can get Robinson to swing at that, or he can simply fade a changeup off the plate to get strike 3. Something also that David has done quite a bit of the last couple of months as his numbers have continued to improve. He has gone inside aggressively to a lot of right-handers with good firm fastballs. But you don't want to make a mistake in there.
Swing and a miss, and Robinson retired on 3 pitches.
Yeah, right on cue. Yeah, good morning, yeah, good afternoon, and good night with an elevated fastball upstairs in the mid-90s.
So take a 2-out hit now from Brian Dozier. As you look at the total on Price, he's thrown 30, but you see the command is not good.
This is an interesting situation here. I mean, you've got the base open. Dozier clearly having their best all-around offensive season. And the guy in the on-deck circle really has no good numbers against you. We'll see how David wants to attack Dozier.
Ball 1 high. The guy in the on-deck circle is Joe Mauer, and he does not have good numbers against Price, but he has been hot of late. 11 for his last 23. Ground ball left side. Iglesias to the hole. Plants, throws, and he got him. Nice play by Iglesias, and once again Price wiggles out of a jam. They get a single, a walk, put 2 in scoring position, but Iglesias with a fine play. number tonight at Target Field. And they started a 4-game series here between these two squads. Mike Pelfrey back to the hill facing Ghosts, Iglesias, Kinsler. 8, 9, and then 1 in the Detroit lineup tonight. Ghost looks at strike 1 right at the knees. Third baseman Plouffe is on the grass in case Ghost is entertaining a possible bunt. Anthony's 7-game hit streak right now, and he sends this one high in the air to left center. That is routine out there for Hicks. 1 gone. Bring up Iglesias. First time All-Star this year, Jose Iglesias. Still among the top 10 in batting average. In fact, Jose at 324 is still good for 4th in the American League. Bang that one foul.
That's when Pelfrey's at his best. 92, 93. Much more movement on that two-seam fastball running in on the right-hander's hands. And when he gets up to 95, 96, his ball straightens out. And he becomes much more hittable.
He has a ground ball to fly ball ratio of 2.3, which is 5th best in the American League in inducing those ground balls. Iggy in shortstop history of the Tigers was at 324 right now. Trammell back in 87 hit 345 for the season.
Some nice company there.
Yeah. Good
Former
players.
Tiger Carlos Guillen as well.
1 ball 2 strikes on Iglesias. He fouled one off his shin yesterday that I thought was going to be problematic, but he was able to shake it off. Bouncer right back to the mound, and Pelfrey handles that one. 2 up, 2 down.
So far tonight, Mike Pelfrey doing a very nice job of getting ahead of Tiger hitters. 8 of 9 in the first pitch strike category.
So Kinsler now with 2 away. Responsible for the Tigers' run. Backed him out of there. 1-0.
Ian Kinsler, the only batter that Pelfrey did not get ahead of here this evening, and he paid for it. Ian Kinsler hit his 3rd home run of the season to left field to lead off the game.
Minnesota came in 4th in the American League in starters ERA. That has been one of the big reasons for their turnaround. It looked early in the season, especially the first week of the season, like Minnesota was headed for a dreadful year.
Yeah, it looked like they were going to lose 100 games again.
But their starting rotation has been solid. On the outer edge, a strike 2 and 2.
I really cannot think of a more surprising team in baseball than the Minnesota Twins.
Well, I would have gone with Houston probably at the beginning of the year, but they're showing that because they have staying power, I guess they're not a surprise. That's pulled on the ground to short. 2 steps to his right, Nunez. And it'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey. GM Grand Detroit brings you the scouting report on Price and the rest of the rotation. Really kind of striking here, Rod, how the numbers are, well, when you have Price on the mound, pretty good, but then all others need to pick it up.
Yeah, they do need to step up. Sanchez has kind of held his own. He's won his last 5 starts, but everybody else in the rotation really needs to pitch better if this Tigers team is going to play some meaningful games in the month of September.
It'll be Joe Mauer to start things off here in the 3rd. Twins have had 2 really good opportunities. 2 on, nobody out in the 1st and 2nd, but neither time were they able to score.
Yeah, they've already stranded 4 here today, and you just can't do that against a talented pitcher like David Price. And when he opens the door for you early, you need to bust it down.
Playing Mauer to pull again. He bunted for a base hit his last time up. Down the 3rd baseline. So if he did it again, Castellanos again wouldn't have a shot. But it's 0-2. And Mauer swings and strikes out. That's 3 now for Price.
Nasty tailing 2-seam fastball thrown here by David Price that just runs in on the hands. And at the bottom of the strike zone against Mauer. Mauer no shot at hitting that pitch.
Here's Trevor Plouffe. Ball 1. Plouffe is 0 for 1, a fly out. That was in the 1st inning, flat out to left with 2 men on. Bouncing ball to short. Iglesias has it there. Plouffe is up. 2 up, 2 down. Time for a game break with Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, and with that victory, the Royals win their 50th game of the year.
They're not coming back to the pack. The other teams in the American League Central has to step it up a notch if they're going to keep up with the Kansas City Royals.
Sano cuts and misses.
Kansas City might have the best all-around team in baseball, and of course they've got the best bullpen in baseball.
Well, now it looks like Orlando and Dyson will be platooning with the injury to Gordon, at least for the time being. But it looks, Rod, like that will be a significant injury. Whether or not they can absorb it, I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's hard to replace a guy like Gordon has meant as much of that team as he has meant. It's almost like the Tigers trying to replace the big fella, Miguel Cabrera. Can't do it.
Sano takes outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sano is in his first 7 in the big leagues. He's at Double-A, so he jumps from Double-A ball to the major leagues this year.
First 6 games he was the designated hitter, and then he played third base yesterday. He fielded 3 ground balls flawlessly. He was playing third base in Double-A.
Looked like a very, very late check swing. And you could have made a case for calling that strike 3. Just a tad low. And strike 3. Took 1 too many. Fastball outside corner, 4 strikeouts for Price. what they call this, a grade 3 strain of his groin.
Yeah, they said that he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks.
And so Gordon went down, had to be carted off the field, a significant injury. So Brett Gardner was named as the replacement for Alex Gordon. Here are the final vote candidates. Of course, Cespedes is right now currently third in the voting. Dozier is on there. Moustakas leading the way, which is not surprising anybody. And there's a base hit for Cespedes. Yoenis leads off the 4th inning with a single. It'll bring up Victor Martinez. Tigers have their 3rd hit of the game. He lined out his first time up. Last time the Twins saw Victor early in the season in the month of April, he was basically playing on one leg. Still had not been able to rehab that knee injury. When they put him on the disabled list, he came back a much different player. Cespedes draws the throw.
And Pelfrey trying to keep his double play in order just in case Yoenis Cespedes is entertaining the thought of taking off for second. And Pelfrey has thrown 19 ground ball double plays already this season.
And Victor looks at a strike.
54% of the time the opposition puts the ball in play against Pelfrey, they hit it on the ground.
Just to illustrate the point that Victor was hurt earlier this year when he faced the Twins, he was only 3 for 30 against Minnesota coming in. So now 3 for 31. He has the leadoff man on here with the shift being employed. The entire just about left side of the infield uncovered. Swing and a miss. One gone and the strikeout of Victor Martinez. Country night at Comerica Park is Friday, July 17th. The Tigers taking on the Orioles at 7:08. Prior to the game, enjoy live country music, line dancing, and more. Call 866-66-TIGER or check it out online, tigers.com. Somebody's probably going to be putting some cowboy hats on our pictures again.
Yeah.
Making posters.
Yeah, they like to make fun of us sometimes.
Here's J.D. Martinez.
Although you look pretty good in your cowboy hat.
You are just saying that.
No, you did.
Really?
Yeah.
I might go out and buy me one. Uh-oh. Drill to left. It is hooking, and it's going to go foul.
Oh, J.D., were you? Come on. Wow. He hitting balls where you're not supposed to hit balls.
The world, you can hit it up there.
In the Goose Island pub.
Which begs the question, why is J.D. Martinez not in the home run hitting contest?
It's a popularity contest.
It just doesn't seem right. J.D. wanted to be part of it and pretty much made it known, but a little disappointed he wasn't chosen. Broken bat up the middle on one hop. Dozier tags the bag one. That's going to be a double play. So another double play turned by Pelfrey.
Minnesota Twins, a team that he's absolutely dominant. They've left runners on base in the first inning. They also left a couple of runners aboard in the second inning. In the second inning, they had runners on second and third with just one out, and not able to push that run across the board against the Tigers' ace.
Well, the Twins now go back to the mound here back to the plate here in the fourth inning as Price goes back to the mound. 42 pitches now. He struck out 4, walked 2.
And Torrey Hunter loves to swing at first pitch fastballs.
He bounced out on the first pitch in his first at bat. He looks at a strike 0-1. Hunter with 13 home runs, having a really solid season for these Twins. Big veteran presence among all the young players they have on this roster.
And they say, along with the manager and Paul Molitor, Torrey Hunter has helped change the culture in Minnesota. They're winning a lot of games these days, and they have one of the best home winning records in the American League, along with the Houston Astros.
Well, the Tigers have a more veteran clubhouse than the Twins do, but how much do you think the presence of Torrey Hunter is missed in Detroit's locker room?
I think it's missed, and Torrey was the one guy that everybody could always go to. He was also willing to give a lot of advice to a lot of the younger players and the veteran players. They were always smiling. They were always having a lot of fun. I think he's missed. I don't think that that's the reason why the team is underperformed up until this point, but Torrey Hunter is definitely missed. He'd be missed in any clubhouse.
Torrey, though, is just 2 for 27 against the Tigers pitching this year.
Yeah, he has tried to do way too much against the Tigers. At least early this year he was.
Hunter, Nunez, and Hicks, 5, 6, 7 for the Twins here in the fourth. 1-0 Detroit, and the Kinsler home run to lead off the game. Torrey slaps that one foul.
Can't get hurt with a 94-mile-per-hour fastball that's that firm on the outside part of the plate to a hitter like Torrey. And Torrey will hit the ball the other way, but most of his power is to left field.
Avila flashing the signs. Hunter just got a piece of that one, staying alive. A little bit of a grin out there for Price. 2-2. Hunter now has played in better than 2,300 games, which is third all-time among active players. Only Alex Rodriguez and Adrian Beltre played more among actives. That'll bounce in. Not only means you've been around a long time, but to stick around, you have pretty good numbers to play this game year after year.
And you have to keep yourself in really good shape and stay healthy.
Nunez waiting on deck. Ball high. And for, again, the third time in this game, leadoff man on. Well, Torrey, of course, playing against his former teammates, and he talks about what it's like to face Detroit.
You know, I miss you guys, but, you know, in the same token, I'm back here in Minnesota, and, you know, now you guys are my rival. And but when we step on the field, we compete. You know, off the field, we're still family, still friends. And I really talk to J.D. Martinez a lot, you know, over the phone, and he's doing a great job over there. So I'm happy to see those guys, but at the same time, you got to do work.
Yeah, and he's been doing work with this team. This Minnesota team has been one of the surprise teams in the American League. Here's Nunez. In there for a strike.
Case in point, Hunter is a gamer. If the ball is hit on the ground and there's a chance to break up a double play, trust me, he'll be trying to knock Kinsler and both Iglesias out in the left field. That's just how he plays the game.
Meanwhile, Price now has reached the 50 plateau, and you see the ball's strikes ratio not really where he wants it. Well, one hopper hit the second. This has double play written all over it. Oh, he's safe at first.
No, he should be out because Torrey could not have touched the bag there. Take one more look at where the slide is of Hunter. When you slide and you're trying to break up a double play, you have to be able to touch the bag with your hand. And it looked like to me that Torrey, there's no way he could touch the bag with that left hand. How about you?
Oh, no, you're right.
Can he get there?
No, that's not even close, dude. You're right.
I mean, he should have been called out there.
Yep, I agree. Joe West called that play in Seattle, and there's Price arguing it.
But he's not getting anything out of the dugout yet.
So 1 on, 1 out. That same call went against the Tigers in Seattle.
J.D. Martinez, right?
J.D. correct. They said that he couldn't reach the bag, and it looked like he clearly could. And they called him out on a double play. Here is Aaron Hicks. That last one was not even close.
It didn't appear to be.
Hicks had a base on balls in the second. Here's the 0-1. Popped him up. Is heading back to the seats, though. Kraus will watch it go back out of play.
Yeah, that was the exact point that I was making on T. Hunter. A ground ball double play situation, regardless of whether your friend's off the field or not. He was going to try to get to Iglesias. Rule of thumb, and you have to be able to touch the bag with the left hand. He came 5 feet off that bag into Iglesias and could not have touched the bag with 2 arm lengths.
No, he couldn't. Got away with one there. Meanwhile, 0-2 on Hicks. Runner goes, and it's into right field, a base hit. Nunez on his way to third base. He will stop there. A single for Hicks, and here come the Twins again.
And you don't usually see David Price make mistakes when he's gotten ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes, but he made a mistake there and left a pitch up out over the plate, and Hicks just simply slapped it the opposite way. That is a fastball that basically splits the plate up in an area where Hicks is able to get to it, and he slaps it right past Kraus.
Nunez was on the move, so he gets the third, no problem. And now Kurt Suzuki. He's sacrificed in the second. And Suzuki trying to tie this one up. He came in batting .391 over his last 6 games. Ball 1.
If you're the Tigers, you have to have squeeze in the back of your mind as well. Suzuki can really handle the bat. Nunez, the runner at third, has good speed. And it's a good count to do it in if he wants to do so. Price has to throw a strike here.
Each ball club with 3 hits in this game. Tigers took the lead early on a leadoff home run by Kinsler. However, the Twins have threatened in 3 of their 4 at-bats in this game. Slapped in the air down the right field line. Kraus going over. Out of play. And they had the runner Hicks on the move.
What a beautiful ballpark. And one of the favorites that we visit on the road tour, Target Field.
Well, it's hard to beat this road trip. We were in Seattle for 3 days and a gorgeous stadium there. But Target Field, for me, is top 3. There's no doubt.
They just did a marvelous job of architecting this ballpark.
It's even better on a beautiful night like we have tonight. Swing and a miss. Suzuki chased one out of the strike zone there, 1-2. .277 this year with men in scoring position for the Twins. Tonight, however, they've had multiple chances. They have not cashed in. .277, pretty good. Fifth best in the American League. Price again trying to work out another jam. Popped him up. Middle of the infield. Who wants it? Kinsler does. 2 gone.
David Price has such a smooth, easy delivery. When you see that fastball in the mid-90s come out of his hand, you think you can get to it as a hitter. And by the time you start your swing, that ball is on you. And you try to get the bat through the strike zone. And a lot of times you pop it straight up or you swing right through it.
So Robinson will stand in, and now Price has a chance to get out of another jam by facing the number 9 hitter, who he struck out in the second. Robinson, though, this year .310 with men in scoring position. Way outside, 1-0.
Even though the Minnesota Twins have yet to score the game, David's already thrown 59 pitches and we're in the 4th inning, which means they're going to get into that Tigers bullpen here tonight. And Blaine Hardy has pitched the last 3 days. They'd like to stay away from Al Albuquerque, so David needs to right the ship very quickly here if he's going to get to the 7th or the even 8th inning here tonight, which he does with regularity.
Pitching with a lot of traffic on the bases early on in this one. Price has not taken a loss since May the 31st in his start against the Angels, and the Tigers, when Price starts, usually win. The Tigers are at least 14-3 in his 17 starts.
That's pretty good.
It's about as good as he can get, and he got a run of support early in this game. Still 1-0. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
Real nice changeup. 87 miles an hour.
Here you go, the best team records. Carlos Martinez having a really good year with the Cardinals. They're 13-3 in his starts. We've seen Garrett Cole a couple of times. One and 2. So he's got Robinson in the hole now, trying to strand 2 more runners.
He struck Robinson out in the 2nd inning with a couple of runners aboard.
One ball, 2 strikes on Shane Robinson. Twins signed him as a minor league free agent last December. Try and get him with the fastball away. And they do on the outside corner for strike 3. Robinson punches out for the 2nd time in the game. That is 5 strikeouts now for Price. Twins leave 2 more. Still 1-0 Detroit. Firm, official legal services sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Meyer, save big with M-Perks from Meyer. Sign up at mperks.com. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. A spectacular day here in Minneapolis has turned into a really nice night. Nice crowd here at Target Field as we travel to the 5th inning. Tigers have a 1-0 lead in this game. Pelfrey goes back to work. And Avila looks at ball 1.
And Pelfrey, who had come in struggling tonight, he was not very good in the month of June. Had one no decision in July, only pitching 4 innings. But today, back on top of his game, good sinker balls, throwing a lot of ground balls, not many strikeouts, elevating the fastball when he needs to do so. And for the most part, he's kept Tigers hitters off balance.
He has also induced 2 more double play balls, which gives him 20 for the year now, most in the American League.
Yeah, he has taken over the leader board from his teammate Kyle Gibson.
First of 4 between these 2 squads. Gibson will face Shane Green in the finale on Sunday. Avila singled in his first at bat. A little bit outside. 2 balls, 1 strike on Alex. The shift on versus Avila. This is how most teams play, Alex. They'll put a defender in short right field. Fouled out of the glove of Suzuki.
I do not remember the Minnesota Twins shifting this much last year when Ron Gardenhire was their manager. But they are shifting on quite a few of the Tigers batters here today.
We've got the third baseman Trevor Plouffe up the middle to the right, second. Nunez stays home at short. Here's the 2-2. Check swing roller back up the middle. Plouffe going to have to make the play, and he will. 1 gone. Well, time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag Detroit Data Strong Fan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Castellanos, who knocked into a double play in his first at bat. High fly ball, right center field. Hunter and Hicks converge. Hicks, the center fielder, 2 gone. I will say this about the shift, though, Rod. It has made scorekeeping a little bit more tricky these days.
Well, you have to really pay attention, especially where the Minnesota Twins have been taking their third baseman Plouffe and putting him in between the shortstop and the second baseman.
And when you write 5-3 in your scorebook, typically your mind says, all right, a ball hit to the left side of the infield, the third baseman threw him out.
Now, how much data could they possibly have on Mark Krause? Because they're overshifting him to the pool field too.
Enough to put someone in short right field. 0-1. Krause had some time this year with Tampa and the Angels, so apparently it doesn't need, or it doesn't take, a deep amount of at-bats. Meanwhile, Pelfrey is he's kind of settled into this one nicely.
Oh, he's cruised. Uh-oh.
High fly ball. This ball is going deep into right field and caught by Toriano. 1-2-3 inning. You're watching Tigers baseball tonight on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Twins fan here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Tigers on top by a score of 1-0. And Brian Dozier among all second basemen in the American League. Well, here are some of the ranks. He trails nobody in these categories.
And there are some pretty good second basemen in the American League. Jason Kipnis comes to mind. Jose Altuve also comes to mind, but none better, at least by the numbers, than Dozier right now.
Dozier had a walk in the first, did not score, bounced down in the second. Price has been able to sidestep some trouble tonight. 2 runners on in the first, the second, and the fourth. So the Twins have stranded 6 in this contest. Pulled to third, and what happened there? Right by Castellanos. Dozier is on his way to second, and he will pull in safely.
Almost like Nick had a hole in the glove. Another base runner to lead off the inning. Right at him.
Right at him and right off the glove. So leadoff man is on.
And David's going to have to pitch out of another jam here. He's been pitching out of jams all night long.
Tying run in scoring position for Mauer and nobody out. 1 single and a strikeout for Mauer. It is ruled an error on the third baseman Castellanos. Breaking ball away, or fastball actually, 94, that cut away from Mauer. 1 ball and no strikes.
Got it again.
Mauer has 5 multi-hit games in his last 8. He has really turned it on. He's hit 6 home runs this year. His home run numbers went down dramatically when they left the dome here in Mini. Bouncer back up the middle. Kinsler on the backhand. His throw is in time. Mauer is out, but the runner advances. Dozier to third. Here is Plouffe. Twins are a deep enough fly ball away from tying this game. Tigers apparently pulling the infield in here.
More so on the left side than the right side of the infield. Right now Kinsler coming all the way in.
Plouffe checks his swing, ball 1 high. Fly out, ground out for Plouffe. This year he has hit .314 with runners in scoring position, trying to pick up Dozier at third base, who reached on the error. Way outside, 1 ball, make it 2 balls, and no strikes on Trevor Plouffe. Plouffe has 43 home runs here at Target Field, which is the most hit in this ballpark. Fouled off. That get Avila?
It clipped him a little bit on that right shoulder.
Here's the 2-1. fouled away. Now Price has him 2-2.
That was a good pitch. The previous 3 pitches, 2 fastballs and a changeup, all away from Trevor Plouffe. And then he comes inside with a mid-90s fastball that ties him up.
So Price is up to 71 now.
His go-to pitch today has been the elevated fastball. We'll see if he wants to go there, if he wants to fade a changeup away. Fastball away.
Line to center field, a base hit. Trevor Plouffe has tied the game. Dozier comes in to score. It's 1-1.
We're going to make that our Bell Tire pitch by pitch. And first pitch he missed to Plouffe was a fastball that was upstairs out of the strike zone. And he stayed away from him for the most part with the first 3 pitches. Fastball, change, fastball. Then he went inside. And then Trevor Plouffe must have had an idea that he was going to try to go outside again. And he hit an absolute missile right back through the middle.
'45th RBI of the year for Plouffe. And the Twins have tied it up. That'll bring up Sano.
The air proves to be costly.
Sano has struck out twice in this game. He drives one to center field. Ghost's going to get there, though. The runner has to hurry to get back. Throw off target. Otherwise, they would have doubled up Plouffe, who apparently thought that ball was hit over the head of Ghost. Sano made good contact, but he's out number 2.
Ghost gets outstanding jumps in the outfield. And you can see why they're so high on the youngster Miguel Sano. He's got some unbelievable bat speed, but Ghost able to run it down in center.
Here is Hunter with 2 outs. Torrey takes ball 1. An error let off the inning, and that run comes around to score. The Tigers, by and large, have not beaten themselves this year because of the errors. They have committed the 3rd fewest in the American League. 3rd best fielding percentage as well. Hunter looks at a strike. Torrey a walk and a force out. Just off the outside part of the plate. 2-1. Hunter earlier this year hit his 200th home run in a Twins uniform. Overall in his career, 344 home runs. In fact, he hit his 300th in this ballpark wearing a Tigers uniform. 2-1. That'll get away from Avila and advance the runner. So now the go-ahead run out to second base. It's a second wild pitch for Price. Now Hunter can give the Twins the lead. Here's the 2-2. Line right by Castellanos into left field. They're going to send the runner home. Plouffe coming to the plate, and he is safe at home plate. Trevor Plouffe avoids the tag. Cespedes gunned it to the dish and almost got him. Another hard hit ball right by Castellanos.
It appeared that Castellanos also got glove on this laser hit off the bat of Torrey Hunter as well. He did. Ball went right through the glove, basically. Yoenis Cespedes in the outfield had a difficult time of getting that ball out of his glove, and had he got it out cleanly, he would have thrown Proof out. What a great throw.
Ball came out of the glove of Avila. And the Twins have taken the lead with a 2-run 5th inning. Here is Nunez. Hunter took second on the throw home. Strike called. They've ruled that one an E5 as well. No RBI. 2-1 Minnesota, their first lead of the night. Nunez cues one off the end of the bat. The 2 errors by Castellanos here in the 5th inning, hurting the Tigers as the Twins have gained the lead for the first time tonight. Nunez a single, also reaching on a fielder's choice. Twins have out-hit the Tigers now 4-3. Inside. These two teams have met 9 times this year. The Tigers took advantage of the early Twins' struggles this season, winning 7 of the 9 so far in the season series. The Tigers offensively hitting .325 versus Twins pitching coming into this game, but Pelfrey has limited them to 3 hits. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Struck him out to end the inning. Twins take the lead. A couple of errors hurt the Tigers. We go to the 6th. Sixth inning here at Target Field, and tomorrow head over to Fox Sports 1 for a special edition of America's Pregame featuring the Women's World Cup champion U.S. national team. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Then stay tuned for Tigers Live back here on Fox Sports Detroit beginning at 7 o'clock. Where the Tigers and Twins will go at it in Game 2. Verlander-Santana, the pitching matchup in that one.
It'll be the second start for Irvin Santana after coming back from PED suspension.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but he certainly will give their rotation a lift.
You know, he pitched a day game, his first outing just 5 days ago. They say he got to the ballpark about 7 o'clock in the morning. He couldn't wait to get to the yard.
I can imagine. Anthony Gose leading it off here in the 6th inning. Gose, Iglesias, Kinsler. Well, it was almost a death blow to the Twins when they found out just before the season started that Santana would be suspended. But they got him now for the second half. There's a strike call. Belfry has been able to keep the Tigers in check after the home run by Kinsler started the game. Here's the 1-1. Oh, look out. That thing whistled right into the seats right behind the Tigers dugout. Hopefully everyone is okay. Ghost concerned right now.
It got somebody. I do not know the extent of it, but man, was that thing hit like a rocket in the stands. Could always tell when the players are concerned.
Yep.
Everybody looking over there, the pitcher looking over there, Ghost, the entire Tiger dugout looking up there.
I would think it would be almost hard to refocus if you're a hitter, but Ghost will have to do that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Anthony's still looking at that fan right behind the Detroit dugout.
It appears to be a lady that's getting some medical attention now.
It'll be Ghost, Iglesias, and Kinsler here in the 6th. Get back out of play. You look at this Twins staff, Rod, and we've talked about the fact that they've been really good, especially their starters. They do not strike a lot of people out. That's pulled into right field. That'll be a base hit. And Ghost is aboard to lead things off.
The first time up today, Pelfrey threw Anthony Ghost a couple of really slow breaking balls, and he was able to get him to pop up. This time he comes back with that splitter, but he leaves it right over the heart of the plate. He sped the bat up of Ghost. Ghost able to get out in front of it and hit it right over the first baseman Joe Mauer's head. Really good swing there by Anthony Ghost. To answer your question, Mario, the Minnesota Twins really have never had a staff that have struck out a lot of people. I mean, they did have Johan Santana at one time. He was a strikeout artist. And Liriano was also a really good left-hander who struck out a lot of people. But by and large, it's always been an organization that's drafted guys that have really good control, guys that pitch to a lot of contact, and they allow their defenders to work behind them.
Well, when you look at strikeout numbers this year, the Indian staff has struck out the most, 780. That was coming into play tonight. The Twins were at 508, dead last.
And they've also finally figured out how to win games in this ballpark. And they were always real good in the Metrodome, but when they moved here, the kind of team they were putting on the field just didn't translate into a lot of W's. But this year, they're winning a lot of games right here at home.
Well, the Metrodome had to be the best home field advantage in baseball.
There was none better.
I mean, it was just a horror show to walk in there every time. Something bad would always happen.
Teams just found doing to lose.
I mean, I still remember it, and it's clear as day, that the vivid picture of Jeremy Bonderman after getting up a few runs at the Metrodome, just exploding in the Tigers dugout in frustration.
Right. More than likely, Ghost will be on the move. That's why Pelfrey paying so much attention to Anthony. Tigers also want to stay out of a double play. Pelfrey's already thrown 2 of those here this evening.
Got Castellanos to knock into a double play, and also J.D. Martinez. 20 of them this year now for Pelfrey. Whistled back out of play. 0-2 on Iglesias. He bounced one right back to the mound in his first at bat. Tigers coming into play 2 games over the 500 mark. They took 2 out of 3 from Seattle. Ooh, we had him leaning.
Ghost is having a real difficult time of using the little stutter steps, patting his feet that he likes to use to jumpstart it when he's trying to steal bags. Pelfrey with a quick move over there. Pelfrey's also held the ball to disrupt the timing of Anthony.
There's a base hit to right field. Ghost is on his way to third base. He'll make it safely. A single for Iglesias, and here come the Tigers.
Iglesias is one of the best hitters in all of baseball with 2 strikes. Doesn't panic, doesn't try to do too much. Pelfrey would love to have that pitch back. He was able to get ahead of him, no balls and 2 strikes. Paying a whole lot of attention to Anthony Ghost on first base, and made a mistake with a fastball right down the middle. Oh, there's those numbers on Iglesias with 2 strikes.
You're not kidding, are you?
I didn't know he was leading all of baseball.
341. So now the Tigers have the tying run at third base. Go ahead run at first, nobody out. And here is Ian Kinsler. One for 2 for Kinsler. And he'll take a strike. 0-1. Tigers got a run in the first and have not scored since as we play here in the 6th inning. Pelfrey has kept them off the board to this point since that first inning. Checked it low.
Let's take a look at the big boys' big play of the game. Ian Kinsler led off the first with a home run to left field against Pelfrey. The first 9 batters that Pelfrey faced here this evening, the only one that he was not able to get ahead of was Ian Kinsler, and Kinsler made him pay with a solo shot.
Iglesias gets back in there. Back-to-back singles by Ghost and Iglesias. Now the Tigers have the top of the lineup. Some heavy hitters coming up. Missed inside. 2-1. Tigers, with their recent surge offensively, are up to 281 in the team average column. First in the American League. Minnesota pretty much middle of the pack, 252. Chopped foul down the third base line. Here's what the Tigers have done since the 25th of June. 150 hits. Only Milwaukee has more, but the Brewers have played 2 more games.
Surprising teams on that list: Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Arizona. We know Pittsburgh can bang.
Arizona making a charge. They're in second place right now. They've gone back up to 500 in the West. Over in the National League.
New front office. Tony La Russa, Dave Stewart, Deshaun Watson.
Bouncing ball to short. Let's see if this is 2. There's 1. And safe at first base. We'll tie the game. Give Kinsler an RBI. His second of the night. 2-2 game. Well, Tigers fans, vote for Yoenis Cespedes as the American League All-Star in the final vote. Go to Tigers.com, cast your 2015 Esurance Major League Baseball All-Star Game final vote. Send Yoenis Cespedes to the All-Star Game in Cincinnati. Vote now. Voting ends at 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Also known as tomorrow. Here is Cespedes. Single ground out for Yoenis. So Kinsler with his 2 RBIs tonight now has 38 for the year. Suzuki able to block it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pelfrey now at 68. His pitch count most of the night has been in much better shape than David Price's pitch count, who was giving up a lot of runners in the first. He walked a couple of batters early. Now the 1-1 just off the plate. 2-1 on Cespedes. Yoenis waves and misses.
Tough to get to 94 upstairs. And Yoenis can't catch up with it.
So Pelfrey now has reached 70. He's had quite a few quick innings. Not so here in the 6th. That one has popped up. Middle of the infield for Dozier. Second out of the inning. Bring up Victor Martinez. Victor tonight 0 for 2. Line out, strikeout. .271 now for Martinez. And Victor takes ball 1. Pelfrey signed with the Twins as a free agent prior to the 2013 seasons. 7 years for the Mets. Former #1 pick. Elbow surgery last year, though. It was in June, which limited him to just 5 starts on the season. This year, though, he's come back nicely. And he missed inside. 2-0 on Martinez.
When the season began, Pelfrey did not have a spot in the 5-man rotation, but when Irvin Santana, it was lost late in spring, and due to the suspension that we talked about earlier, Pelfrey was inserted into that 5 spot in their rotation.
Ryan O'Rourke is quickly heating up in their bullpen. In there, a strike called on Martinez.
Pelfrey's got a good arm. 94 with a good hard fastball inside that appeared to be off the plate.
Goodness, way off the plate.
But not according to Mike Winter.
Nice. You saw the sour look on Victor's face as well. He thought he had a 3-0 count. Probably should have one right now. A run in for the Tigers. They've tied it at 2. And Martinez takes outside. 3-1.
Victor's sitting on that fastball now on the inner third. Victor loves to sit for fastballs in fastball counts, and if he does so, he'll open up the hips ever so slightly. And if you make a mistake, he will drill something down in that right field corner.
Waiting on deck is JD. The Twins just moved the third baseman Plouffe over to the right side.
Victor batting .354 at the start of play today since he came off the disabled list.
Driving foul back out of play. 3-2.
Not a bad pitch by Pelfrey. Good two-seam fastball down and away from Victor.
There's the defensive shift now. Kinsler will be off and running on the pitch with 2 outs. We just got a piece of it, and Victor stays alive. Should he reach, JD Martinez waiting on deck. We're at Target Field here in Minneapolis. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad you are with us here tonight for Game 1 of this big 4-game series heading into the All-Star break. Joe Nicholas, our producer. Brian Moss, our director.
They've got pretty close to a sellout here tonight as well.
Got fireworks tomorrow night, which ought to induce a big crowd. I would imagine all weekend they'll be pretty good. And again the 3-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Martinez out of there. The Tigers settled for 1. They tie it up though, and we go to the bottom of the 6th.
Position that you have to be on the balls of your feet to make plays. In the 5th inning, it looked like Castellanos with a couple of pull hitters up there, one Dozier, one Hunter, not on the balls of the feet, and therefore they're very difficult to make plays if you're not in a better athletic position. I know that's one of the things that they've worked long and hard on with Nick. Omar Vizquel talking to him about moving his feet, getting in a better position, but in that inning there when they were able to score a couple of runs, probably a couple of plays that Nick should have made.
Well, Price goes back to the hill. It's a brand new ball game now. It'll be a 2-2 contest as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning.
There have been a lot of infield coaches that simply say that third base position is one step and a dive most of the time.
Well, they've now changed the scoring play. That second one's a hit.
Okay.
So only one error for Castellanos.
Good for Nick.
And good for Torrey Hunter as well.
But that's one of the things that all infielders have to fight. You have to stay in a very athletic position, which allows you to move laterally to your right and to the left, so that you can make some of those plays that are hit a couple of feet to your left or right.
I know that Trevor Plouffe, the third baseman here in Minnesota, has worked long and hard into becoming a better defensive third baseman. And we know Castellanos works hard as well. But he's a big guy. Growing up, really didn't play any other sports. Baseball was his game.
Right.
And some of those other sports teach you some of that lateral dexterity, for lack of a better word.
Motor skills.
Yeah.
Soccer, football, basketball. That and the fact, and I added something else, when Dozier comes up and also T. Hunter, you know that those guys are pull hitters, and more than likely they're going to hit something down in your direction.
Swing and a miss. One gone. Time for a game break now. Here's Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, thanks. Well, it's, I guess, not uncommon that Samardzija would pitch well in Shark Week. Since his nickname is the Shark. For those of you that didn't know. Here's a strike call.
David now 14 of 25 in first pitch strikes today. And just to give you an idea that he's a little bit off, in his last outing he was 22 of 28 in first pitch strikes. So the command not quite there tonight for the Tigers' very talented left-hander.
Swing and a miss. He tied up Suzuki.
I'll give you one more number for those of you that like to crunch numbers as we get a look at the David Price curveball. He's thrown 2 wild pitches here tonight. First 2 wild pitches of the year.
He had one in the second and another one in the 5th inning. He got away with the one in the second. Now the 0-2. Ground ball to short. Iglesias been busy tonight. And they'll throw another twin out, 2 away.
Here is our Xfinity high-speed pitch on Mr. David Price this evening. Nothing wrong with the velocity. He's gotten all the way up to 96. And he can get to 97, 98 whenever he wants to.
Shane Robinson will stand in now. Robinson has had 0 luck against the lefty Price. A couple of strikeouts. 246 batting average for the number 9 hitter. And he leaves and misses 0-1. Two runs on 5 hits for both teams tonight. Difference, the Tigers have 1 error. Another swing and a miss, and this does not appear to be a good matchup for the Twins. Robinson having trouble making contact against Price. Here's the 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Should Robinson reach? You've got Dozier waiting on deck. Here's the 1-2. Fly ball. Left field. Cespedes has it measured all the way to the warning track. 1-2-3 inning for David Price. What do you say we go to the 7th? 2-2 game.
their second baseman, Ian Kinsler. And even though David Price pitching in traffic through the first 4 innings, they did not score a run until the 5th. Silent single up the middle off the bat of Trevor Plouffe. Torrey Hunter also singled to left field to drive in another run, and Kinsler grounded out in the 6th inning to drive in 1 more run. So Ian Kinsler has driven in both of the Tigers' runs. Score sits at 2-2.
Well, here we go to the 7th. J.D. Martinez leads it off for the Tigers, and he takes strike 1.
Lots of off-speed pitch thrown here tonight against J.D. Martinez, and why not? Has a current 9-game hitting streak, nearly hitting .500 during that streak.
Swing and a miss, and the count is 0-2. Pelfrey threw 25 pitches in that 6th inning, so it was a bit of a lengthy inning for him.
Gutsy pitch to Victor Martinez. He threw him that split-fingered fastball to get Victor to strike out to end the inning.
Way outside, 1-2. Martinez would not chase after it. And Pelfrey's 1-2 pitch. Well, this I know is kind of a surprise to both of us, Rod. Home Run Derby contestants. And there's no J.D. Martinez on that list.
Nope, not at all. Prince Fielder and Josh Donaldson and Manny Machado. And Albert Pujols is going to represent the American League.
J.D. takes high. Pujols leading the league with 26 homers. Trout and J.D. with 24. Machado's got 19, so he's farther down on the list. But he will participate. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Another one of those split-fingered fastballs that Pelfrey has gone to the last couple of innings after a ton of 94-mile-per-hour fastballs early, and that's an outstanding pitch.
Man, that's a good one.
You're not going to get hurt if you locate that tumbler down there.
So with the 1 out, here is Avila. Single ground out for Alex. 1 for 2. Strike 1.
Nice job by the catcher, Kurt Suzuki. And very seldom has Pelfrey shaken him off the last couple of innings. Lots of breaking balls to lead off the Tigers. Then fastballs in and out, only to get back to the off-speed stuff to finish them off.
Now it's 0-2. And with 2 strikes on the hitter, here goes Plouffe, moving to the other side of the infield.
If Plouffe hadn't gotten any hits today, he's getting his exercise in for sure, running back and forth to where he's running to.
The reason many teams will wait until 2 strikes are on the hitter before they shift that third baseman over is because of the bunt possibilities taken away.
Maybe we've seen this before, but this is the first time that I've seen the third baseman going between the shortstop and the second baseman.
I think I've seen it before. I don't remember where. There's a ground ball hit to the shortstop. High throw, but in time. But normally it's in the short right field.
Yeah, most teams will take the third baseman and put him all the way into right field. They'll basically leave the second baseman who's more athletic, usually than the third baseman, to play up the middle, along with the shortstop who stays on the left side of the infield.
Brian Dunsing in the bullpen for the Twins. Pelfrey's been awfully good at home this year. Much better than he's been on the road. Much better. Ball 1.
It's kind of like their team. Real good record right here at Target Field. Not so much when they leave.
28-15 at the friendly confines of Target Field. 2-0 on Nick Castellanos. Castellanos looks at a strike.
Back in 1987, the Minnesota Twins won a World Series. They played very good at home, and they were not very good on the road, but yet able to beat the Cardinals in 7 games.
Bouncing ball back up the middle. Nunez has it there. And that'll take care of the Tigers. They go 1-2-3. Here comes the stretch in a 2-2 game.
You the high-strength steel. Iglesias earlier in the game, knowing that Dozier is a dead pull hitter, runner on third base with 2 outs, backhands it, firm throw back across the diamond just to get the speedy Dozier. So you have to anticipate that Dozier's going to hit something to the left side of the infield, because that's where he hits literally everything.
Dozier, Mauer, Pluth in the bottom of the 7th, 2-2 ball game. David Price goes back to work, and Dozier looks at a strike.
Last couple of innings, David's done a nice job of managing the pitch count. He has now thrown 94, but he's pitching into the 7th.
It's 0-2 the count.
Looked like it got Alex on that right knee. He's got one off the right shoulder today, and that one looked like it got him on the right knee.
Vila might be thinking, you know, I didn't take these shots down there at first base when I played.
He sure did.
It's a lot more comfortable to play out there. 0-2 on Dozier. Reaching twice, once on an error, once on a walk. Slow roller towards short, charging Iglesias. Quick flip. Got it. And he got rid of that one.
Not only does he have very quick feet, but his hands are so fast. And something else that Iglesias does, he always has that hand real close to the glove, which means there's not a lot of time to transfer to the throwing hand to throw out a guy that can run real well. Price said that a boy.
Now Mauer, who is 1 for 3. Mauer had a bunt single. in the first inning when they played with a pull. Now they're pretty much straight up on him. In fact, Castellanos is guarding the line at third. It sails inside. 1 ball and 1 strike on Joe Mauer.
Joe's driven in quite a few runs this year. 42 to be exact. Second highest total that he'll take into the All-Star break in his career. He's still sporting that beard too. He likes that beard.
Yeah, he had it early in April. Still has it going here in July.
Yeah, but he was sporting it earlier because he had a buddy that was playing for the Minnesota Wild that sported a beard, and that's why he was sporting it. But he's kind of digging it.
What do you think?
It looks good on him. It's well manicured.
It's very well sculpted, isn't it? It is well manicured. 2-1 on Mauer. Chopper to the first baseman. Kraus bobbles it, but no trouble there. 2 gone, 3 unassisted. It'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. So as we predicted, Price gets to 100. Basically because of a lot of pitches and quite a few innings. He's got to 100 here in the 7th. Price has gone as high as 121 this year against the Angels, which, as a matter of fact, was his last loss, and that was at the end of May.
Having a guy like Price in your rotation is just such a luxury. And no Blaine Hardy today. They wanted to stay away from Albuquerque. Those 2 guys have been getting the ball late in games to Soria. And so you basically have David Price out there today to get the ball to Soria if that situation presents itself. Bruce Rondon's also been good.
Chopper left side of the infield. Castellanos waits on it. Plouffe is out. David Price. So 1, 2, 3, 7th inning. Let's go to the 8th. Midsummer Classic with home field advantage for the World Series on the line. Our coverage of the 2015 Major League Baseball All-Star Game begins Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Great American Ballpark site.
Johnny Peralta.
Yeah.
Starting in the All-Star game for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Having a really good year. Mark Kraus leading it off here as we go to the 8th inning. Pelfrey starts him off with a strike.
Prince Fielder also going to the All-Star game with his 3rd different team. Milwaukee, Detroit, and now Texas.
We'll be in the home run hitting contest too. That's low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Can you imagine some of those balls that are going to fly out of the Great American Ballpark next Tuesday? Well, Monday, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be bizarre because balls just fly out of that yard. Who do you got in that, by the way? You got any favorites in that?
Well,
Prince has got to be a favorite, I would think.
For sure, he's a favorite.
I kind of like Donaldson.
He's got a lot of pop, for sure, too.
Actually, I like J.D. Martinez, but oops, he's not in the home run.
Did you know that last year, I know you knew this, last year only one player in the major leagues had 40 home runs, and that was Nelson Cruz, who hit 40 right on the nose.
Did not know that.
This year, there are already 12 players with 20 or more home runs at the All-Star break. Already 12 players with 20 or more, which means baseball's on pace for at least 17, 18 guys to have 40 homers this year.
And we had one last year.
One last year.
It's a major difference. Here's the 2-2. He'll get back out of play. Lane Boyer was warming up in their bullpen. Krause homered in his first at bat as a Tiger. But is now 1 for 6. A couple of fly balls in this game. Foul back.
Krause homered in his first plate appearance for the Tigers. It was in Seattle. He got the start on Tuesday, got himself a fastball that was right down the middle and hit it 5 rows deep at Safeco Field. Hit that off Taijuan Walker.
Pulled and through. He found a hole against the shift. A leadoff single here in the 8th.
Do they need to pinch run for him, I wonder?
I think so. He is the go-ahead run at first with nobody out.
Krause able to beat the shift. Dozier, the second baseman, well into the outfield, but had no play.
They are not going to pinch run for Krause.
Well, that leads me to believe that Ghost might not be up there bunting then if they're not going to pinch run for him, but we'll see.
Tried to drop one down the first base line. No balls, 1 strike. Krause really right now is the only guy that has first base experience. Marte's the third baseman. Romine not a first baseman, but has played there. Pretty good ratio right there for Pelfrey.
And he came in struggling.
Here's the 0-1. Fly ball, center field, ball hit a ton. Hicks going back, track, wall, can't get it up against the wall. Krause on his way to third. They're going to try and score him. Here's the throw to the plate, and he is going to be out at home plate. They will look at it to see if they want to challenge.
Had a nice conversation with Anthony Ghost in the clubhouse today, and I was telling him how impressed I have been with his bat speed lately. He jumped all over this ball, over the head of Hicks, who has real good speed. Dave Clark, the third base coach, probably got too aggressive here with Krause running from first base. He stopped. Dave continued to send him, and it was going to be a close play, and they threw him out. But the Tigers still have a runner on third base with just 1 out as we speak.
Ghost was able to go all the way to third.
You can see the tag clearly applied by the catcher with 2 hands, Suzuki. He wanted to make sure that Krause couldn't jar that ball out of his glove. For you young catchers at home, that's something to keep in mind. Keep both hands on that ball.
So the infield coming in now. Here's Iglesias. Still a 2-2 game. Go ahead run at third with 1 out. And a strike called on Jose.
Anthony Ghost has been hitting some balls hard lately.
No doubt.
He homered in Seattle too, didn't he?
Yep, he hit one out in Seattle. That one was hit to the base of the wall in center field.
If the Tigers can score a run here, I'd be shocked if David Price is not at least going back out for one more inning.
Missed it inside. One ball, one strike out. Iglesias, a single and a ground ball. Twins have the infield in, hoping something is hit directly at one of the infielders. Inside, 2-1. High water mark this year for Pelfrey is 112 pitches. And that was 3 starts ago against the White Sox. He's at 104 right now under the watchful eye of Paul Molitor. Bouncing ball toward the shortstop. They'll check the runner. Iglesias is out. Ghost holds at third. Infield in, prevents a run.
Just a wonderful job of pitching there by Pelfrey. And knowing that Iglesias likes to slap the ball the other way, he just kept coming inside with fastball after fastball after fastball. Finally able to jam him for the ground ball hit weakly to the shortstop with the infield in. That's an outstanding job of pitching by Pelfrey.
So with 2 outs now, it's up to Ian Kinsler here in the 8th.
Well, he's already driven in both of the Tigers' runs here tonight. He might as well drive in another.
Homer to the first. Fielder's choice ground ball scored another in the 6th inning, and that tied the game at 2. Missed inside, 1-0. Kinsler now with 38 RBIs. Krause thrown out at the plate. And a close play. Ball 2. Ian was 1 for 10 against Seattle, had the day off yesterday, and has responded with a couple of RBIs today. Ground ball foul. Right through Anthony Ghost. Nice pickup down the left field line. Pretty good move.
Yeah.
Here's the 2-1. Strike call, 2-2 on Kinsler. So Pelfrey 1 strike away from getting out of this jam. Right on the edge. Here comes the crowd now. Almost 30,000 here tonight. Fly ball in the air to left. It is hit deep. It is back, and it is gone. No, it's in play, or what is it? What are we calling this? It is in play. It's a double and an RBI for Kinsler. He almost hit it out. But the Tigers have taken the lead 3-2. Right up the top of the wall in left. Now we're going to see if that is indeed a home run. They are going to look at this one. hit the top. Did it go back and hit the railing, or did it just bounce back out?
Had to take one more look at it, but it looked like it hit the top of the wall, bounced straight up and back into play.
Yep. That's probably going to be a double. Regardless, the Tigers will have the lead here.
And Ian Kinsler has driven in all 3 of the runs here this evening against Mike Pelfrey.
Kinsler thought he got it.
Yeah, he did.
He was watching it. Looked like it bounced straight up and then back into the field of play, and it's going to be a double. So a 2-base hit and an RBI for Kinsler, but the Tigers have the lead. Big night for Ian. His second, 3 RBI game of the season. 3-2 Detroit. It's going to be it for Pelfrey, and he's going to depart the scene here. Wallside Windows pitching change here in Minneapolis. We'll be back.
Flattened out at about 94 miles an hour. Ian thought he got it, as a matter of fact, when he rounded first. He put the right hand up and started twirling, but he was credited with a double and an RBI, but a big knock nonetheless.
Right off the top, and had it hit the railing, it would have been a home run, but it came right back the field of play. So Kinsler is at second with 2 outs. Tigers have taken the lead. Cespedes standing in. Lane Boyer has come on to pitch. Facing Cespedes. Way high. 1 ball, no strikes.
Boyer having a really nice year out of the Twins bullpen, pitching in his 41st game. The ERA just a shade over 2.5. Not a strikeout guy, only 17 of those, and 11 base on balls.
Boyer recently, at the end of June, made his 300th major league appearance.
He's got a fastball that will top out at about 94. When he's right around 90, 91, he gets much more sink to the right-handed batters. He also has a changeup he'll use. He has a slider and a curveball, so a nice assortment of pitches. And by Boyer.
Boyer spent his entire career over in the National League prior to this season. Mets, Arizona, Cardinals, Atlanta. Cespedes is 1 for 3 with a single. And that's down the right field line. That's a fair ball. It'll get another run in. Cespedes on his way to second. He has himself a double, and now a 2-run Tigers lead.
We talked about Cespedes and the fact that he's batting about 40 points higher than his career average. This is why. He will take the ball the other way if you force him to. That's a breaking ball that he doesn't stride on. He simply stays back and uses his hands, and he slices it down in the right field corner for another huge, and I mean huge, 2-out knock and an RBI.
That run will be charged to the starter, Pelfrey, so his line is complete. Meanwhile, Cespedes racking up the doubles. Here is Victor Martinez trying to get another one in. Victor was 0 for 3 against Pelfrey. A couple of strikeouts and a lineout.
In this particular situation, most teams would elect to pitch around Victor, but not the way that J.D. Martinez is swinging the bat. There's 2 outs. There's a base open. You'd much rather have your right-hander going up against a right-hander than going up against Victor, who's batting left-handed.
Fly ball in the air, shallow center field. That's going to nestle into the glove of Hicks to retire the side. Big inning for the Tigers, though. They get 2. They take the lead. Party at an upcoming Tigers game. Group picnics and party suites are on sale right now. Groups of 15 or more get discounted tickets. You can call the 313-471-BALL or visit tigers.com and check out the party suites. Pretty cool. Well, the Tigers, thanks to Kinsler and Cespedes, now have the lead.
And how about David Price back out there in the bottom half of the 8th inning, and it looked like in the 4th inning when he was already up to 60 pitches. It did not look like he was going to last this long.
But he did, and here he is. Miguel Sano leads it off. Swing and miss. Sano hit the ball pretty hard his last time up, but Price struck him out twice early in the game. Swing and a miss, and Sano strikes out for the 3rd time. Check in with Mickey York now. Preview tonight's Tigers Live.
All right, Mario, it's been a good game like we expected. Coming up after the game, Trevor Thompson and Craig Monroe will break it down in the Coliseum studio. We'll take you to the clubhouse to hear from Ian Kinsler, David Price, and Brad Ausmus, among others, as the Tigers try to put the finishing touches on this one, but still some work to do. Mario,
all right, Mick, thanks. few more outs to get before that happens. Andrew Romine, the new Tigers third baseman, replacing Castellanos. Torrey Hunter takes strike one. Hunter singled in a run in the 5th inning and now has 47 driven in. 4 runs, 9 hits for the Tigers. Twins have 2 runs on 5 hits in this game. Rondon and Kroll heat up in the Detroit bullpen.
Ideally, they'd like to bypass both of those gentlemen. No disrespect to them, but they'd like to just turn this one over to Soria.
Popped up. Will it stay in play? It appears it will. Kraus. 2 gone. Here's Nunez. Base hit in the 2nd. Reaching out a fielder's choice in the 4th. The Tigers are trying to go to 15-3 when David Price pitches. Price personally is looking for his 9th win of the year. He's headed the All-Star game again this year. His 5th career All-Star appearance. And despite the fact that there were some early base runners against him in the first couple of innings, and gave up a couple of runs in the 5th. Another terrific outing from the Tigers lefty. One and 2 on Nunez. Price has scattered 5 hits. He's also struck out 8 in this game. Off the end of the bat foul. It's been one of the higher strikeout games for Price this year. He typically has 10 or more in more games than he has this season. He's done it only twice this year, but it has not affected his overall number. The ERA came in at 2.54.
I think the fact that he hasn't struck out a whole lot of batters this year allows him to go a lot deeper in games, pitching to more contact. He's been loving this changeup today.
That one missed outside. 2-2 on Eduardo Nunez. Price now at 113. He threw 114 in his last start. Hicks waiting on deck. The 2-2. Right at the letters at 95 miles an hour. 3-2. Gene Lamont, Brad Ausmus trying to maneuver through the final couple of innings in this game with the lead now 4-2.
Another changeup.
That'll go foul.
Cannot put Eduardo Nunez away.
the high water mark for Price, 121 pitches this year. Another one back out of play. He continues to battle Price, who can't put him away.
116 pitches in. Price still throwing in the mid-90s.
This has turned into an 8-pitch at bat for Eduardo Nunez. And no sign of fatigue for Price. That's in the air. Left side of the infield. Iglesias calling. Short left field. Price a 1-2-3 eighth inning. Tigers will take a 4-2 lead into the ninth. All right, Trev, thanks. Here it is 4-2 as we go to the ninth inning. Big hugs for David Price, who was outstanding again tonight. And the Tigers have supported him with 4 runs in this game. And now here come the Tigers as we go to the ninth inning. And the first one is outside to J.D. Martinez. Martinez tonight is 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts and a double play ball. Those at bats were against the starter Pelfrey. J.D. rolls one to third. Glove there by Plouffe. 0 for 4 night tonight for J.D. Saturday, the Tigers are right here in Minnesota to take on the Twins. A game you can only see on Fox Sports 1 beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern. Then at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's Baseball Night in America as the Yankees battle the Red Sox on your local Fox station. It's all this week on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox and Fox Sports 1. That's going to be it, it appears, for Boyer. Wall side windows pitching change. Twins go to the bullpen and will return. safety planning tomorrow, game 2. Irvin Santana for the Twins, Justin Verlander for the Tigers.
Irvin Santana was pretty good in his only outing of the season. He made his first start just 4 days ago. He checked in with a 2.25 ERA, but he punched out 8. And he only walked 3. Meanwhile, Justin Verlander trying to figure it out, trying to get on track.
Ryan O'Rourke has taken over now for Minnesota.
His numbers at Rochester this year, 13 2/3 innings in 22 games, which means he's that situational. A left-hander now pitching out of the Twins bullpen.
Was called up just a couple of days ago, made his major league debut against the Orioles on the 7th. Avila swings and misses 0-1.
Minnesota Twins swept the Baltimore Orioles in a 3-game series before the Tigers came to town.
Yeah, they did, and as you mentioned, they've been really good at home this year, 28-15. Missed it outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. We're at Target Field here in Minneapolis. The Tigers and Twins, game 1 in this big 4-game set going to the All-Star break. Mario and Rod, glad you're with us. It was tied until the Tigers got a couple in the 8th. Avila cuts and misses. 1-2. Ryan O'Rourke was originally drafted by the Twins in the 13th round, 2010, out of Merrimack College. O'Rourke was born in Worcester, Mass. Here's the 2-2. Avila fouls it back out of play. Well, if it stays 4-2, we'll get to the bottom of the 9th, and the bottom 3 are due up for the Minnesota Twins. Romine waiting on deck. Pulled right at the first baseman. Mauer makes the play for the out. 2 gone.
Second season for Mauer at first base full time, and he handles himself very nicely over there.
Avila, meanwhile, almost hooked one to the corner. Romine looks at a fastball that slides away, 1-0. First at bat for Andrew came on defensively for Castellanos. Bouncer to Mauer. Pitcher covers. Romine is out. 1-2-3 inning. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. The Tigers guarding a 2-run lead. 3 outs away. Our game summary: Kinsler, big night. He's homered. He's knocked in 3. How about David Price tonight?
He settled in very nicely. Didn't look like he was going to be around to pitch through 8, but that's exactly what he did. He only gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, none of which were earned, and he punched out 8.
Joakim Soria.
Pretty good numbers in his career against Minnesota Twins. 2.12 ERA in 40 career games against Minnesota. Most of those coming in his early days when he was closing for the Kansas City Royals.
So it'll be Aaron Hicks to lead it off. It'll be 7-8-9 to up here in the bottom of the 9th. Soria replaces Price. First one is in there for a strike. Hicks in the ballgame tonight. Walks, single, strikeouts. Ball high, 1-1.
And Joakim Soria going up against the latter third of the Minnesota Twins batting order, and he'd like to keep it at just that. You don't want to see the top hitter. Their number 1 hitter, that would be Brian Dozier, probably their best all-around hitter this year.
Missed it high, 2-1. They have Eddie Rosario, an outfielder, on the bench, along with Eduardo Escobar and Danny Santana, and their backup catcher Eric Fryer. Two and one on Hicks. Bouncing ball to short. Iglesias throws him out, 1 away. Fans, it's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag DetroitDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki had a sacrifice bunt in this game. Is 0 for 2 otherwise. Ball 1 high. Eddie Rosario has moved to the on-deck circle. He will pinch hit for Shane Robinson. That's in for a strike, 1-1. Three for 11 for Suzuki against Soria. Twins got both of their runs in the 5th inning, haven't scored since. 1-2. Tigers won 2 out of 3 here in Minneapolis in late April. And a line drive, base hit to left. Kurt Suzuki is aboard with a 1-out single.
Joakim Soria shook a velo off 3 times before he got the pitch that he wanted to throw, which was a breaking ball to the bottom of the strike zone. And Suzuki went down to get it, lofting it over the head of the shortstop, Jose Iglesias. Here's the shakeoffs.
Well, Santana has come on a pinch run. He's at first base. So Suzuki's out of the game. Eddie Rosario stands in, pinch hitting. Bouncing ball slowly towards second. Kinsler will stumble but get the out at first base, and the runner advances.
And indeed, he will have to get Brian Dozier out to finish off the win here tonight.
So here comes Dozier, and here comes the crowd as well. Dozier, for as good a year as he has had, is only .221 RISP.
Also told you that he is a dead pull hitter, which means if you're Soria, you cannot allow him to beat you to the pull field. You have to make sure if he beats you, it has to be in that right center field gap or in that right field corner.
Ball one high. Dozier hit a walk-off home run on Monday here in the 10th inning. He is the tying run here in the bottom of the ninth tonight. But no luck against Soria to this point, 0 for 5. In there is strike call. 1-1.
That is a beautifully thrown fastball on the outside, black at 93. Nothing Dozier could do but watch it go by. Beautiful location.
Dozier trying to knock in Santana. He's the pinch runner down at second base. In there is strike call, and it's 1-2. Mauer waiting on deck. In the air, center field should do it. Ghost is there, and the Tigers win game 1 in this series. In the 9th inning, no runs, 1 hit, 1 left. The Tigers 4 and the Twins 2. Behind David Price tonight, and just enough offense to beat Minnesota.
Here is our 1-800-CALL Sam call of the game. Ian Kinsler had the afternoon off, at least most of it yesterday. He was struggling in that Seattle series, but the middle day off did him justice. He drove in 3 runs here today. 1 on a homer, 1 on a double, and the other one on a ground out. Real nice day for Tigers leadoff hitter and second baseman here this evening.
So the Tigers winning here tonight, 4-2 your final score. Back with more from Target Field.